I learned that, well, I think it was some advice I got from one of my mentors. It was actually a life coach in my mentor's program. And she said, Sarah, you are not responsible for saving people. Like, that's where I had that pressure on myself of everybody who signs up, like, I owe it to them. They have to get results. Like, I have to serve them and they have to get results. And once she let me know and really reminded me, look, you're not a savior. You're not anyone's savior. You cannot save people. And that changed everything for me. And so I knew in my mind that if they did the things I taught them, that they would be successful, and it wasn't on me.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow?
Today we're going to talk about leading through a pivot. Every business has to go through change. We have to go through strategy change. We have to go through personnel change. Maybe it's financial, economic markets, but we all have this in common. We have to be looking for ways to align people through this change. And today we're going to have a very special guest. We have the founder of Joy of Marketing, Sarah Petty, is going to talk to you about leading through a pivot. And what we uncover inside this episode will help you is talking about the values of the company, how you use them and how important they are as a foundation that when you do have to go through a pivot, how you can leverage them. We also look at some of the challenges she's had as a team and communication rhythms that are necessary as you lead through pivots. All of this is unpacked in today's episode with Sarah. Now, my job is to help you become the best leader you can be. If you want to be exceptional, I want to make sure that you remove all of the energy drains from your day-to-day schedule, from your mind, and all the things that get in the way, your head trash, if you will. And if you want to have a conversation with me about what that is, and so you can identify it, just go to genehammett.com and schedule a call. Inside that conversation, I will give you world-class coaching, not trying to pitch you on my event or programs. I don't need clients. But if you are a listener of this, I urge you to take action and actually go to genehammett.com. You can get free resources, but the best thing I can give you is some time. So if you want to talk about your business, remove those roadblocks and really get a plan to move forward, just go to genehammett.com and schedule your call today. Now, here's the interview with Sarah. Sarah, how are you?
Fantastic.
We're going to have a great interview. We're going to talk about leading through a pivot. Before we get there, tell us about Joy of Marketing.
Yeah, Joy of Marketing is a company that serves portrait photographers. That just sort of happened on accident by demand. I had a little photography business on the side. I was really a marketer. I worked at Coca-Cola right out of college, and then I went to work for an ad agency, got pregnant with twins. And after I had them, I had to make that choice. I felt like, do I stay in the grind, which I loved? I loved all of my jobs and make money, or do I stay at home with my kids and have no money, but be a great mom? And I think probably a lot of women can understand that sort of pull. You've spent your life getting this education, wanting to have a career, but then you have these babies that are so amazing. And that's when I thought, well, I'll just do photography for fun. And maybe I can make a little business out of it, enough to pay for childcare and maybe, some furniture. And so I took off, did everything wrong, and realized, okay, this is a fast way right now to go out of business. So figured it out. And then, of course, photographers started asking me for advice. And that's when I started Joy of Marketing to teach them how to make money and put their family first.
Well, I'm always curious. I know that we don't print as much as we used to with photography stuff. We probably don't go to the different studios and all, and maybe that's just our family. We do it once a year, maybe once every 2 years. What do you think is the future for the photography industry?
Well, I'm hoping to change that because, gosh, I started 25 years ago. Actually, it's my 25th year, and I was in film. And so it wasn't even a matter of what to do. You had to print things. And then when digital happened, it changed the industry. And now everyone thinks, oh, people just want digital files. And it's not true. No one photographed me as a child. There's nothing of me printed anywhere. And so I'm just super passionate to make sure that people are decorating their homes with printed artwork. That's what we teach our students to do, to go from selling a CD of digital images for $200 to serving their clients better and getting thousands of orders in the thousands, basically.
Well, I will tell you that my wife's done a pretty good job with this, even though we probably don't know any of your clients. At least I don't think we do. But we have lots of pictures, and I walk by those pictures of my son at different ages, at 2 or 3, he's 15 now, and I just remember those things, and it really is a very powerful moment for me. I mean, I'm a little bit nostalgia and look back at those days when he loved us, but I could see how that would be a selling point for photographers. Sarah, we came here not just to talk about your business and photography, as interesting as this is, but we came to talk about, what is it like to lead through a major pivot? So you talked about your business. What was the pivot you had to lead through?
Absolutely. So because my business was created by demand, Joy of Marketing, I was serving clients, selling different products for photographers, like marketing a program and selling and pricing. And I started a coaching program back 15 years ago, did it for like a year. It started great. And then I had a student who was like, this doesn't work. And I'd say, what did you do? And she would say, well, nothing, but it doesn't work. And so I closed it down and I said, I don't want to do high ticket anything ever again. I'm just going to sell low ticket things. Right. So for 10 years, I like bumped up against a number, right, of growth. I was sort of just flat, but I was raising kids. I had 3 kids in 2.5 years and going along. And in like 2018, we were low in revenue and decided, oh my gosh, to make it up, we have to sell something high ticket. So I did a 2-day workshop for $6,000, and it was like $80,000, just like that. And I was like, man, that sure is a quick way to make money, quicker, easier. And I gotten a mentor and working on the skills that I needed. And I thought, okay, I'm ready. Build this whole program out, get rid of all the small stuff, launch it, had a live event, invested over, probably $150,000. And it was February 13th of 2020. So it was like, we sold all these people into this program and the world shut down. So I had to really step into a whole new version of a leader, because we'd been selling high ticket or low ticket for 15 years. And all of a sudden, not only had we converted to high ticket, the world was shutting down. And I thought, oh my gosh, these 86 people that we just got into this program are all going to leave me. And I'm not going to be able to pay the hotel bill and on the AV team and all of the things from the live event. And I don't know, we might have lost 2 people that entire year. And I think we added up and they did $2.9 million in revenue, portrait photographers. And it was hard and it was scary, but somebody had to lead them. I think, you talk about leadership, and everybody needs a leader. Everybody needs a voice that they have to hear. And I was sort of like, I opened my first photography studio 2 weeks before 9/11. I got through 2008 and I knew that I could lead these people. I wasn't exactly sure how. But in my mind, I just went to serve. I just started serving hard and telling them, just listen to my voice, get off the news, and we can get through this together.
Now, Sarah just said, everyone needs a leader. Now, I 100% agree with this. We need to be the leaders that our team deserves. We need to create more leaders on our team, because those people that are delegating tasks and delegating work and projects out that are not you need to have the skills of leadership. My hope is you're investing in the leaders around you. I have this saying inside of one of our programs, being a manager is good, but you really want leaders. Leaders are those that can march to the beat of their own drum, make their own decisions. They feel empowered. They are willing to be leaders and develop others around them. Managers just manage efficiency and get tasks done. They may be really good at that, but what we need is more leaders. Back to Sarah. So that gives us some context. What did you learn about yourself when you're having to lead people through a different period and a different time?
I learned that, I think it was some advice I got from one of my mentors. It was actually a life coach in my mentor's program. And she said, Sarah, you are not responsible for saving people. Like, that's where I had that pressure on myself of everybody who signs up, like, I owe it to them. They have to get results. Like, I have to serve them and they have to get results. And once she let me know and really reminded me, look, you're not a savior. You're not anyone's savior. You cannot save people. And that changed everything for me. And so I knew in my mind that if they did the things I taught them, that they would be successful. And it wasn't on me if that was going to happen or not. And so I had a lot of growth there. And as you're growing and people are giving you more money, they want more of you. And so there's like a lot of pressure I felt like there, but I think just having good coaches, and I built a good team. I've been in business, all these years. So we were really ready for those storms as they came.
Let's talk about your team a little bit, because when you've got to change things, the team has to, adapt. And not every, person that gets a salary is very adaptable. I mean, I think we as entrepreneurs learn to adapt because we're always looking for opportunities, and we're more used to it. But when you have someone who is pretty stable in their life, they love getting that predictable paycheck. I'm sure it's nice I've just never had it, or at least in the last 20 something years. But what was really going on with your team when you had to adapt to this new way or new strategy?
Well, luckily, we learned early on how to hire based on core values. And we have some core values that really aligned with that. One is we play big, right? We win big, we lose big. One is that we move really fast, like a speeding train. And so we get people on our team who can move fast. We problem solve. We got to have people on our team who can problem solve. And so that's just been part of the culture. And so when everybody was freaking out in the pandemic of how do we work from home? How do we do this? My team's already been doing that for years. My team is all over the country. And so we didn't miss a beat from that regard. I think the other thing early on when I was building this online business, I made the decision early, even when I maybe couldn't afford it, that I was going to commit to customer service. And I hired a full-time customer service person. Remember back in the days of email when it was like my email box, complaints and this and that. And I realized I'm not good at customer service because I take everything personally. And my customer service team, they are just fantastic. They serve hard. They were solving problems. They're coming to me saying, Sarah, we got to fix this. Or I'd say, hey, fix it like this. And they would come back to me and say, no, that's not good enough. Because that's another core value is confidence without ego. I want them to know that I want them to fight for what they think is right. And if I ultimately say, sorry, we're going to do it that way, they do it that way, but they aren't afraid to come to me and push back and say, hey, it can be better. We have to do this better. And so we already had that culture. And so that was the easiest part of it, was the internal. It was the external as we grew the coaching program. Because I can only do so much. And so I had to build the team to serve all of these students. And that was the hardest part. I had to grow into a leader. That was my word of the year. That year was lead. Like I have to have help instead of the entrepreneur. You can get to 1 million usually by yourself, just working hard, a couple people. But if you want to scale, like there are different humps that you hit, I think, as you're growing, and everybody listening to this is getting that, right? Because they're high level, they're fast growing, and you get to a point and then you sort of hit that stuck area. And so that's what I knew I had to do to get us to that next growth point. And was it easy? No.
Now, Sarah just talked about scaling through people. Now, this is absolutely true. You know it. You've probably felt the pressure as your team was small. And when you decided to grow a little bit bigger, it got a little bit easier. And as you grow bigger and bigger and bigger, you go through different changes. And you scale through people requires you to be the best leader you can be and to develop more leaders around you. This is what I excel at. This is what my team excels at. If you have any questions whatsoever about how you can evolve as a leader and what's necessary, just reach out to us. We're glad to help, give you some free resources, give you something to help you really become the leader that your team deserves. Back to Sarah. Well, speaking of not easy, is there a challenge that you overcame, that you had to maybe develop a new skill set as a leader or something like that?
I think just the art of delegation. I think I'm a maximizer and strength finder of I see the better way to do everything. And I'm not a control freak. I am fine delegating. I got my first business, my photography business, to run without me. But then in this next business, it just seemed so much more complicated. So I had to really rely on other people and know that, yes, we may lose some people, but I had to really learn how to sell it to them as a benefit that you're going to have more support, but less of me. And so I had to really grow my skills there. And it feels good. Growth just feels good. Even as hard as it is, it feels good because when you get through it, it's like you have this clarity of, oh, I should have done that in the first place. What's next?
I'm kind of curious, what kind of communication rhythms or things have you learned about keeping people aligned when you're going through a change like this?
Well, we had to pull up our big girl pants because we're all females except one. And we had to start because we're in fun. Like we're running this business. We love what we do. And so me, of course, being a creative, I'm on both sides of the fence, but the visionary doesn't want to have all the meetings and things. So we started a 3-day-a-week team huddle because now we have a sales team. We have a whole marketing department and they weren't always communicating, especially if I was the one that needed to, be the baton passer. And so that really helped us with structure, making sure it's 15 minutes. We do it at 9:17 every morning or 3 mornings a week where everybody's on, we get on, we have a structure that we follow, and then everybody is in the loop. So things that I didn't want to do 15 years ago, I had 3 babies at home. That was much harder to have things on my schedule. What if someone's sick, whatever. But now it's making us a business that can run without me and that can run faster.
You said 3-day a week. Don't often hear that. I hear daily. I hear once a week. Why did you choose 3 days a week?
A friend of ours who's a couple million ahead of us is big into EOS. That's why I love masterminds. We were in Mexico at a mastermind in March. We sat by the pool, and what we got out of those 2 hours, like paid for everything we'd invested in the year. We invest a lot. And she just recommended 3 days a week. And so that's what we went with. 2 days isn't quite enough. And 5 days we felt like is too much. So we do Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. A lot of people travel on Fridays or take off, but Monday sets us up for the week. And then Tuesday, there's often, when we're in a launch, we're very promotion driven. So if we're in a challenge or a launch, we need to touch base that often. So that's what she recommended. We're good at being coached, so it works for us.
Well, speaking of coaching, I mean, it seems like you have invested heavily into your own growth, and we don't need to talk about your specific coaches, but why do you continue to do that, and why is it something that you would recommend to others?
I think it's the first place, and we don't even budget for it. Like if I see it and I want it, I get it. And I think everybody almost should have that philosophy. Live your life in a way that you can say yes when there's a growth opportunity. So when I'm looking for a mentor or a place to grow, I ask myself, what is it I need to learn and who's the best person doing it? So when, we were having an event, who's the best event team we can find? Who's the best at this? Who's the best at that? And so I figure out what it costs and how can we get ROI on it. And I know that that's on me. I think so often people think they just put the money down and it's magically going to happen. But hopefully people at the level listening to your podcast have already learned that it's on us, right? We invest it and it's our job to go get the value we need to get the ROI so we can keep learning and growing. So I always have a coach, and sometimes multiple coaches, but they're not doing the same things, right? One might be a speaking coach, one might be a live event coach, that kind of thing.
Well, thanks for telling me, or thanks for sharing that. I get a little tongue-tied myself there. Sarah, we've been talking about leading through a pivot. Is there an area that we haven't touched on that you feel like is important for our audience to understand?
I think what's interesting and hanging out, like I try to be in a room that's bigger than me. I don't want to be the biggest in the room. So usually I'm very much the smallest. And what I see is all the things that we have on my team are like the inferiority, the imposter syndrome, the fear, all of it. It doesn't matter who you are or what level you're at. Everybody has it. And that's why I think investing in a mentor is so important to me in a coaching program, a community. I always have my people because, one person may get stuck at 100,000 before they, just can't figure out the next step. Another person might be million. My mentor is 100 million, right? Like, so who's ahead of me that I can learn from? And I just feel like time goes so fast that we can do it the slow way or we can do it the fast way. And I think I'm pretty self-aware in what my weaknesses are. Probably my kids could give a long list. You know how that goes. I have 2 girls and a boy, but definitely I'm learning all the things that I didn't know. And, but if once we figure that out, it's like, okay, someone else has figured it out. Who can I go get that from? I'm going to go get it and then I'll have it forever.
I love your energy behind this and your passion for what you do. That's one reason why I think you've been able to lead through a pivot. Sarah, thank you so much for being here on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wow, what a great interview. She talks about leading through a pivot in a way that will help you lead through your next pivot. We've all been through changes. We've all been through things that have challenged us and challenged the people around us. We've got to become the leaders that we know we can be and the ones that your people deserve. Now, hopefully you have learned how to evolve and step up through all of this. But what I find is a lot of people don't know what gets in the way. Sometimes they have blind spots, and those things are actually hurting you and keeping you stagnant, keeping you from momentum. All you want to do is reach out to me and let's have a chat about your business and see what's getting in the way. Just remove that. If we identify it, you're halfway there. Just go to genehammett.com and schedule a call today. When you think about growth and you think about leadership, think about Growth Think Tank. As always, the courage. We'll see you next time.